Alright guys, welcome to video 3 in this 4-part free video workshop. And I'm just going to start this video here. This video is going to be about the winning website layout. And it's definitely necessary in my opinion to use WordPress, but I'll get it more into that here in a little bit. I want to kind of answer a couple of these questions on this survey page. And I actually just want to kind of remind you that I sent this survey out to my list and really was asking people what should I include in the training. And this is, I meant the paid training that I'll be offering in the next video, in video 4. But I wanted to answer as many of these questions as I possibly could. I couldn't go in depth into them, which I will do in the paid training. But I did want to answer some of these, quickly if possible. So I do want to get to some of these questions about the website. So what software or plugins can I use to simplify the process? You absolutely need WordPress, and you need one of the things that people don't really talk about all the time is you need a host that that runs servers that are optimized for WordPress. A lot of people don't really understand that something like a shared hosting like a HostGator or a GoDaddy, they do have special hosting for WordPress sites. And I haven't done much research on either of those two as far as their WordPress hosting goes, but I know it costs more. But what I use and what I recommend you use is either like I use SiteGround, and they don't really have actually they might have a WordPress package, but I've never checked it. Uh, but I use their cloud hosting because it scales as necessary, so your site's never gonna go down. But for our main websites, we use WebSynthesis.com, their hosting, and that's actually by uh, the people behind Genesis Themes, and it's really created for WordPress, and that's it. If you don't have a WordPress site, you can't use their hosting, and it's super fast. So not cheap though. I believe it used to be where you can get one website for like 30 bucks a month, but they may have raised that. So hosting is a big thing because the speed of your website is huge when you're talking about trying to get first page rankings, because Google wants to send people to a website that's quick, and they're going to get their answer quick. So software is definitely WordPress. Plugins for WordPress, there are a lot of them really. Um, I like Yoast SEO because they kind of tell you, hey, you're missing this and this and this in your content. The problem with that is you can over optimize, and once all of your pages start to look over optimized, you're going to get scrutinized by the search engines. And so again, I don't have all the time in the world in this free training. I wish I did, but I will in the paid training. I'm going to go step by step and show you what options to set up, what settings that you need to tick in each plugin, which plugins are necessary and which ones aren't. Because there's so many of them, and people recommend so many of them, and you don't want your site bogged down with tons and tons of plugins because it slows down the speed of the site. Um, so some kind of an SEO plugin just to make sure that you're hitting all the major ranking factors. A caching plugin, so something like a W3 total cache. There's other ones that I can't really think about right now, but and then I also recommend obviously some kind of a backup plugin. That's not really for ranking purposes, but uh, you know it's definitely helpful. So there are many more plugins, and I'll probably get into more of those once I start talking about structuring the site. So I'm going to show you in this video how to structure a good site. Um, and I'm going to actually talk about internal linking as well. Keyword density, really, I don't follow a percentage like most people recommend. I just like to throw it in there 2-3 times. It's more important actually to add the related keywords into your content, because like I talked about in the content video, That's what Google looks for. They look for that you're not only just trying to rank for that one specific phrase, but also that on that page you have many related keywords, because it tells them that your initial keyword is actually relevant. In the winning design, I'm going to, that's what this whole video is going to be about. So let me just jump over to, actually go to our blog first, because I kind of want to show you what not to do. Uh, and this isn't really, don't copy our blog, because just because I'm using it the way it is right now doesn't mean it's what I would recommend for somebody starting out. We've got probably 800 to 900 posts on this site, and gardening is a huge niche. There's so many different topics that we have to really just offer generalized calls to action. As you see over here, we just got like a huge big free gift, because they could be landing on our site for any specific reason. You could see propagating phlox, which is a type of plant, or there's valve troubleshooting, which is a propagation kit that we sell. And so there's a review. The plugin that I use for this is Opt-in Monster. It's a great plugin for creating calls to action like that. But kind of what I wanted to show you is that, if somebody searches a review for this cultivator, they land on our page, their call to action is going to be gardening. It's a generic gardening offer, or down here it's a, buy plants at wholesale prices inside of our members area. So it's not a very targeted offer based on the content that they found. So what I really recommend is don't create one generic site and put 800 posts in it like we have. We've done it this way mostly because it started with a couple posts, and we really created the site for our email list. Um, we've got close to 200,000 or more gardeners on our email list, and every time we create a post, we send it out as a newsletter. And as we're creating the post, I just optimize it so that it tries, we try to get organic traffic from it as well. So a lot of times we don't create content on this site with the intention of getting it ranked, and that's it. I did create a lot of those posts that I showed you in previous videos to get organic traffic, and that was it. We never sent them to our email list, because we had, at the time I was creating 5 or 6 of them a week, and we only email our list once or twice a week at the most. So I guess what I'm saying is don't follow what we're doing here as far as building one website, which is mikesbackyardnursery.com, and throwing in as many posts as you can. Keep it as small and as close knit as possible to the niche. So if you're in that list that I gave you, and I forgot to mention it, but I decided to not blur out that whole list. So you might be thinking you got away with all those keywords for free, but I decided not to blur out that list just because I felt like you guys could benefit greatly from seeing those. So if you look back at that list in video 2, you just pick one of those things and build a site around it. I don't care if it's only 5 pages or if it's only 6 pages. What I'm going to show you here in a second are a couple sites that I found when I was doing the research to build that list, and each of them have their own pros and cons, and I'll talk to you about that. But what they both have in common is that they are small websites built around one specific topic. So that's kind of the main theme of this entire video is choose a niche. If you already have a niche in mind, that's great, but keep it only to that niche. So when you look at that list of niches that I gave you, it was like 32 or 33 niches or keywords, I believe. A lot of those are like health related, so you could create a website that's steveshealthtips.com and throw all of those on that one site, but I wouldn't recommend doing that unless, well, I'll talk about that in a second. You could do it, and I'll show you how you can do it, but what I recommend is actually just taking those keywords and making a a smaller site that, Google can say, hey, oh, this site over here, they've got everything you need to know about X, and send them there. When you start veering off into different topics like you see us do here, you kind of lose a little respect in Google's eyes, because they're like, oh, they're just trying to find stuff to rank for on that website. They're throwing anything up there that they can. And that works sometimes. When you look at like a website like about.com, they are literally about everything. And they get traffic that way. A lot of traffic. And that's actually a multi-million dollar website based solely on ad revenue. And it works for them. But when you're just starting out, what I recommend is keeping it small. So just pick one phrase, create really, really good content. Choose, a couple like money keywords, 4 or 5 if you can. If not, make one huge post or 2 huge posts about whatever the money keywords are, and you will rank for them eventually. I promise you that, because if you follow what I've showed you so far when choosing the long tail keywords with low competition, if you create good content, in-depth content, a couple thousand words, you will rank eventually. That's just a fact, and it will stick as long as you continue. Like I said, once a month, continue to put some fresh content on there. Even if the stuff you put on there once a month is only 500 words, as long as you're adding new stuff. It could be something that was in the news that you could cover. You can go to Google Alerts. I know there's other ones too, and set up an alert anytime a keyword is like newly posted online. And I like to do that for news websites, because you can always just say, hey, a new study's been done on X, and this is what they found, and kind of just paraphrase. You're covering the news story yourself on your own website, and of course um, link to that news story. Google likes to see you linking out of your website, much to the dismay of a lot of SEO guys. They want to see you linking out to relevant high authority sites. So as good as a backlink is, an outgoing link is almost just as good, because it's proof that you're providing value to the user. So let's go at this first website here, and I will warn you, there are some somewhat graphic images on this website, so just prepare yourself. This website does a pretty good job as far as layout goes. There are some things that I would fix, and I'll show you that. But just notice how kind of plain it is. There aren't a lot of places for me to click around and get lost. Up here are these are really just different posts that they've done. So you can kind of count how many posts they've had. And these over here these are just the same posts. One thing I recommend though, and it's huge, duplicate content will kill your rankings. Duplicate content on your own site will kill your rankings. So these excerpts right here, which I'm not, for some reason their website, I can't highlight any of this stuff, but these excerpts, so even right click is disabled. Um, this is duplicate content. So what I would do is just, if you're going to do this, just include the title, because when these, even in your sidebar, when they see duplicate content, it's kind of just a little mark against your entire website, and you don't want to get too many marks for duplicate content. So the one thing that I would recommend, if I were like reviewing this site for this person, I'm fine with a text logo. This is like, I would call this a logo. If you can do an image logo and make it kind of, it doesn't have to be, a $300 logo, but something to make it a little bit more professional, that's fine. But the other thing is take this navigation and put it up here. because it's just a little bit of space right there, but you're gaining that much more space above the fold. I have a huge monitor here. It's like a 21, 20, I don't know what size monitor, but on a normal monitor, this would be cut off about right here. So that extra space is going to be huge. The other thing is get rid of this image. There's no need to have this image on the actual article page. You can have this image, be in, for your featured images over here on the home page, but there's no need to have it right here. You're wasting valuable above the fold space. So get rid of that image, move this text up, and then the next thing on this website that one of the only other things I don't like is that there's no call to action. There's no call to action up above the fold. Mostly, not mostly, but partially because of this image, but also their first call to action really isn't until you get way down to this banner ad. This is uh, a ClickBank product. I clicked through there, and then they're trying to do some little bit of AdSense there, which is fine. And then they got more related posts, which are really more duplicate content with these things here. And then a real generic footer. I would get rid of this. What they don't have also, I didn't see anywhere, are legal pages or even a contact page. And this site is ranking on the first page of Google for I don't remember. I think it was difference between UTI and yeast infection. I think that was the one. So they definitely need, and it can be down here, terms of service, privacy policy, about us, and contact page. Those are the four requirements, in my opinion. And there's actually a plugin that you can get. I don't remember what it's called, but it auto generates the terms of service. It's actually by the creators of WordPress. Creates a terms of service and a privacy policy. All you have to do is punch in your website information. But the one thing that you have to do for all four of those pages, for terms of service, privacy policy, about us, and contact us, is no index those and no follow them. You don't want those pages ranking, because the only thing you want ranking are money pages that are going to bring you leads or bring you sales. Everything else is kind of a wasted space in Google, and if they see that you have a lot of pages that are ranking that are kind of worthless to the user, that's another mark against your entire website, and you don't want that. So be sure to no index and no follow even category pages. Those are, for some reason in WordPress, those things, their category pages rank like crazy. I don't get it, but they're worthless really to users because they're not specific. They just show a list of posts like this. So there are plugins that you can use to no index those. Same with tag pages, any kind of archive pages in WordPress. No index and no follow those, because every single one of those things, it's first of all considered duplicate content. Second of all, it's not useful. It doesn't really matter what they search for. It's not useful. Even if it shows the post they were looking for on the first page, they got to make an extra click once they get there to get to that post. So this really down here isn't useful because a lot of these right here are the same things up there. So I would just get rid of this whole entire block. Sharing is caring. That's fine. I probably wouldn't have all of those there. The big ones are Facebook, Twitter, Google Plus, and Pinterest. There's no really need to have LinkedIn on a health type thing. Maybe if it was a business related one, sure. Definitely good to have references. These images, if they're not your own images, just be careful using them, because that images are another source of duplicate content. Same with this banner ad. So one of the other things, like I told you, there's no call to action. If I were to do a call to action, first of all, get rid of this image. That moves up all of the content. So what I would do is, I don't like the position. To me, you're not going to make as much money from I hovered over that thing too long. You're not going to make as much money from AdSense as you are um, a targeted ClickBank offer like this, because this right here solves the person's problem. They likely have one of these two problems. So if you make that offer to them up to the top, they're going to click through to that offer before they even read the rest of it. Because if you write it in a way that says, hey, this is exactly what I have, and they're saying it'll solve my problem, they're going to click it. So I would do away with this AdSense slot. A good place for AdSense is, down to the bottom, maybe over at the very bottom of the sidebar if you're going to do it. I don't even recommend doing it unless it's a niche that you can't find anything in ClickBank for. So I would get rid of that ad block, move this text up. Yeah, if you're going to move this up, then you're kind of forced to put your call to action after this first paragraph. But this is what your call to action really should look like. This is another different website. This one was ranked. This is a male yeast infection. Something similar to this is one of the keywords on that list I gave you. This one was ranking on the first page. They they have a lot of other problems, but I'll show you. The one thing I really like about this one is this call to action. This is exactly the type of call to action you should have. One, it's not an image. People are, as much as people say that banners don't work, or banners are still working, or banner blindness is not a thing. It is a thing. It may not be as bad as it was, or maybe it's 10 times worse. But either way, people are kind of conditioned to read text, and they're conditioned to look at links that are this color. When your link like maybe looks like this or blends in, even like that kind of blends in, they kind of skip over it. But when it's blue like this and it's hyperlinked, they're you're kind of conditioned subconsciously to look at it at least. And if it jumps out at you and kind of tells you, hey, this is this your problem? Because this here is a solution. Um, you know, is this too big or too many words, too many lines? Maybe. I like 2 lines of text, but it's kind of tough to squeeze all that into 2 lines. So you got to kind of split test things. But what they did wrong here is that they waited until they got way down to the middle of the page. You can see where my scroll bar is, like the middle of the page to put this. This should be like maybe in here, maybe right after the second paragraph. What I don't like though is that they're like pitching them immediately right here. There's no need to do that. This is a call to action here too. You can see down in the lower left corner, it's a ClickBank link, which you should never use a naked ClickBank link like that. By naked, I mean it's not cloaked. And you can use the WordPress plugin Pretty Link Lite. It's a free plugin, and it really just cloaks your link, meaning that instead of showing a ClickBank link in that corner, you can have it show like your website slash whatever the product is. So it's not going to show ClickBank. I'm actually surprised that they're ranking on the first page with naked links like that, because that's one of the things Google doesn't care for. They don't like ClickBank offers, but if it's not hurting the content really, then they don't really care. But so definitely get rid of that. There's no reason to have that there yet. Um, this isn't really a sales pitch, because to the reader, like, oh, okay, cool, this home remedy works in 30 days. Not necessarily know that they're selling them something, but when you tell them right here that it's a money back guarantee, that means that you're immediately selling them, and you shouldn't do that. If you're trying to get them to click through, just get them to click through. That's all you have to do, and you can easily do that by moving this whole call to action way up here and get rid of this ridiculous image. Is it good to put pictures of doctors in there for authority? Sure. Uh, but if you're going to do that, put it down in the content or in the sidebar or something, and add some text to it somehow. Make it seem like it's doctor approved if it is. If you go to this offer page and it says doctors have reviewed this product and agree 100%, then take that quote, have a designer put that on this image and then put it somewhere on the page. Because then you look at how much space you're wasting. Like on a normal desktop, you're cut off probably, I don't know, in here somewhere. That's like the hole above the fold. Get rid of that and move this whole thing up. Um, and again, you need some kind of logo, some kind of imagination, some kind of navigation. Even if the navigation is just your about page, your contact page, that's better than nothing. Because to Google it looks like it's a real site, and to the user it looks like a real site. Um, so the reason I came here is to show you this. So this should be on this page in here. Everything else on this site is good, other than a couple duplicate content things and that AdSense block. But get rid of that image. But that CTA, if that CTA were right here, they would be killing it. They would probably get 10 times more click-throughs because they're waiting. They have to wait until they get way down in this article right here, and it may convert more for them because you've got a more engaged reader, but you're getting less clicks. So just if they were to do those things, they would be way better. And over here they've got some more ads. These are ClickBank product. That's the same ClickBank product, ClickBank product, and then these two are Amazon books. So all in all on this site, this is kind of the layout that I suggest. Like I just said, logo or text logo, navigation should be up here. Um, your sidebar, keep it relevant. Keep everything on the site relevant. Don't get over here like we did. And you've got valve troubleshooting, you got plants, you got visiting a member, plant sale, or review of something totally different. How to separate nursery containers. It's all gardening related, but it's not really related to this cultivator. So if we really wanted to sell this cultivator, we should put like YouTube videos, reviews of us reviewing it over here, and snippets of other people who have used the product that really like it, to turn it into a sales page for that product. And the same goes for them. They don't need to have all of these big images taking up all this space. These are just other posts on their site. And I'm sure these posts lead to more ClickBank products. But if you're trying to get them to click through to this product, then put more information over here on that product. And you can have multiple pages on your site and have different sidebars on each page. There are plugins for that. And inside the First Page Academy training, I'm going to show you kind of the easiest setup that you can use, both with a theme and with a plugin, or multiple plugins, to kind of quickly replicate this, but in a more professional, easier to use, and highly effective way. This isn't bad, and I chose this for a reason because they have a lot of good things in place, but it could be better. So those are the main things on this site. There's some other things on here that these guys could just be killing it, because I know they weren't number one, and they're not number one for a very good, well, many very good reasons. Um, Image is number one. There's really no brand. Not that I want you to create a brand, but people need to know where they're at, and this is kind of a hodgepodge of stuff. So the headline right here is it's not horrible. Not really that effective though. This up here looks like a link, but you can't click it. So I would either change that to just black text, like a regular headline, or get rid of it if you can't. And then definitely get rid of this, because that's not helping your situation right now. Sidebar is mostly, well, other than this, it's mostly useless. These things, nobody does anything with this. I doubt anybody's using their search box. You can install something on like Google Analytics that'll tell you what people are searching in there. There's plugins, I think, too, in WordPress for that. But I can almost bet nobody's using the search box, so get rid of that. This tag cloud is worthless. Nobody is using that. It's not helpful to anybody. And then having all of this down here is not good either. because that it really just looks like keyword stuffing. And this whole block isn't really useful. Comments, I'm not, you know, comments are fine, and it's good to have it at the very bottom because people can comment if they want to. If not, then whatever. But um, and the other thing is they don't have like any legal pages, like I told you before. So you have to like actually seem like you're a real company if you want to be treated like a real company in Google's eyes. And you know they're lucky that they're getting first page rankings with this, because this is about as lazy and generic as you can get. I mean, you can almost tell that somebody wrote this for them. It's very kind of dry, and it delivers the information. You know, these are home remedies for different problems, but uh, you know, they're not really. I didn't do much research on the related keywords, but they're not really organizing the page in the way that I told you. They've got one heading tag here, which is the main keyword. Again, the same main keyword right there, and then the same main keyword right there. So it's pretty obvious what they're trying to rank for. 3 times there, right there in the very first part of the content. My guess is that they're not doing much in the form of uh, related keywords. They're just kind of hoping that whoever wrote this for them included a lot of the related keywords by accident. So this is really just a sales letter. From here, from here down, it's all sales pitch. And then another banner. This is like an awful banner too. I'm telling you guys, these right here will outperform any banner every day of the week by a multiple of at least 5. Especially when it's flashing like this. This is like a 1998 banner. So there's a lot of simple things that you could quickly fix with WordPress. It's so easy. Um, but that's really, guys, that's really the basics of a winning website. Make sure it's on WordPress. Make sure it's simple to navigate. They understand when they land on the page that they're on the right page. You've got your headline. This big image is not, it's not useful. It's not doing anything but saying, but repeating the headline again. If it were a useful information that had diagrams of the differences between the two, then maybe keep it there. Um, and remember, try to avoid duplicate content as much as possible. And just think about every single item on the page, and if it's really helping you to achieve the main goal of the page. The main goal is to get somebody to click through to like a ClickBank offer, or one of your own offers if you have your own product, or if you want to get people on your email list, then the whole page should kind of subtly be sending them in that direction. You still got to deliver content, because content is still number one. They got to be able to get an answer to the question that they had when they did the search on Google. But while they're there, you want to kind of lead them in, starting at the top. You want to lead them in to get them engaged, and then your call to action should be very, very close to the top. I like it after like the second paragraph, which is what I have ours set to. So paragraph 1, paragraph 2, call to action. You're probably wondering, why am I using banners if I just told you that the text works so much better? It's because when I discovered this kind of layout when we first did this back in 2010, it was pretty much just thrown up there. I was still learning at that time. But then over the course of 2 or 3 or 4 years, I discovered that, hey, we're missing out on a lot of potential clicks by not putting calls to action throughout our content. And, my dad did that in free plans, kind of not really by accident. He knew what he was doing, but Let's see if I can find one of his original articles. One that I know is a good one. So this is one that he wrote originally, and this is a pretty good example of my the website design I was talking about as far as layout goes. We don't have a headline up here or a logo and a navigation. Our navigation is really right here in these breadcrumbs, but title, the last updated date, paragraph 1, paragraph 2, and this whole thing is a big call to action. So it includes an image, also includes the text, and that was something that he did from the very beginning. But then there's call to actions throughout this whole thing. And you can see these text ones kind of jump out at you. They're centered, they're blue hyperlinked, like the old school hyperlink. There's one liner. That's a link to another article, another banner, and that's it. So really over here, these are kind of just links to our websites, products, and then freebies. But that's really, you know, oops, I didn't want to close that. It's kind of, keep in mind that the most important thing is to start small. Don't think that you have to have 1,000 articles like we have here. Um, it's not something that we started out with. I don't know, we probably started with maybe 3 posts on this site. Things that my dad had written beforehand, um, before the site was even, before I even registered the domain name and set it up. He already had like 3 posts written that he wanted to put up there, and then I think we had a video too. But you just need to be very strategic in the way that you create these websites. And just because it's on WordPress, don't think that you have to live with their design. This is actually a template. This is on the Genesis theme framework, and then I used a child theme, and then I edited the child theme to kind of fit to our design. And it's still not where I want it to be, but it's better. It's very similar to what I'm telling you to use. Logo, simple navigation, um, content initially right off the bat above the fold, CTA, paragraph 2. Our call to actions and the sidebar stuff can't be as relevant because we can't. I mean, I could have, like 700 different sidebars, but that would be ridiculous if I created a custom sidebar for every single post we do, because we have so many of them and we don't really have enough offers to make for each post. So if you stick with a small site, like I was showing you, like on these ones, this is all about whatever this is and yeast infections, but it's really all about selling that 1 or 2 products, the yeast infection or the candida. It's really those two. If they make some Amazon sales, a couple bucks here and there, whatever. But myself, I wouldn't even put those there. They're kind of good because they help the users. Maybe people that have this, it's good. But I wouldn't make it prominent on the site. I would maybe link to it, like they've done here. I would link to it in content, but I wouldn't make it an ad over there. But just keep it simple and kind of think about every single item on the site and whether it's helping your ultimate goal of the site. And you should have one goal, maybe 2 if you want to maybe put people on a list and also sell a product, that's fine, but you still got to pick one. You got to have one goal. If the goal is to get people to click through to an offer, then that should be your goal. Don't focus on building a list then. Um, you can do an exit pop-up like I showed you, or like you saw on, let me show you our exit offer on the blog. So somebody, lands on our site through this page. They search creeping flocks in Google and land on our site, and they read and read and read. They don't click any of our CTAs, and then they go to leave. They get this offer. This is also done through Opt-in Monster. So this is how you could build a list if people don't click through to your offer to buy something. So it's one of those two-step offers where they can say, no, I don't want anything, or sure, I'll take it. And you click that, and then you can enter your email address. And this is connected straight to our Aweber account. And there's a lot of options in OptinMonster. It's a really cool plugin. So that's how you can build a list off of this. If somebody leaves, if somebody tried to leave this site without clicking through, you could maybe, do an opt-in, a pop-up that has like a free report on, uh, the top 10 ways that you could get rid of a UTI or yeast infection at home. And you can still give them more content, but also throughout the content, like the report, you can link through to these two offers. So that's another way to build a list, or another way to monetize your traffic is build a list off of them and kind of 2 or 3 step it. So that's really it for the winning content template, guys. The winning website template. Um, One of the things that I'm going to do for anybody that joins the First Page Academy, which I will be making that offer in video 4 in just 2 days here. What I'm going to do is actually um, create a template, a WordPress template, um, and I'm going to give you that WordPress template, and it's going to be the exact layout that I've told you about. So kind of a conglomeration of this site mixed with this site's CTAs, and I'm going to add in a couple other things that I would do, um, and you're going to get that WordPress template um, if you choose to join the First Page Academy. So I think it's useful because when I went and created this on my own, I struggled big time because I didn't know anything about customizing WordPress themes, and if I had to pay somebody to do it, that would have cost probably $200 to $300 that I didn't want to spend at that time. And that's fine if you're better at outsourcing than you are actually doing, then cool, go ahead, that's fine. But I'd like to actually create one of these for you as a part of the First Page Academy training. So I will see you in our last video, video 4. Video 4 is not going to be just a sales pitch, guys. I'm actually going to dive into backlinks and answer these questions up front, and then give you a couple cool backlink strategies before I tell you everything that's inside of the First Page Academy. So I will see you in video 4.